And our third day starts here in Davenport, Iowa, which is known for being called the Quad Cities because there's 4 cities right next to each other. A little bit more spread out than maybe a suburb of a lot of other bigger cities, but nonetheless they're all kind of grouped together, called the Quad Cities. 2 of them in Iowa, 2 of them in Illinois. So it's kind of driving around, going to all these different shops. In the Quad Cities, there is a ton of pawn shops, and what better way to start the day than at a pawn shop? So we got to one, was not very good, got out of it with nothing in our hand. The next one we went to was called the Quad City Pawnbrokers, which turned out to be maybe the find of the trip so far. Hopefully we can still beat it, but if this is the best that we come across, I'm happy. And when I talk about good pawn shops, we're talking about flat rate, not individually priced games, because that's what pawn shops, it's kind of 50-50 on pawn shops. Either they do that, or it's all individually priced. They look them up online and set the price. This one was not. There's flat rate, and the flat rate were bottom dollar prices. I could not believe how cheap they were selling these things. I'm surprised that they had so many quality titles left. So let's start out with like the last gen, which would be PS3, 360, and Wii, which were all $6 a piece. And we ended up getting 3D Dot Game Heroes, kind of a cool Zelda-like pixel, maybe not, I don't know if it's voxel or not, but it is a kind of a pixel-based action adventure in the name of like Zelda. And Guilty Gear XX Core, I don't think this is the plus one, but still, fighting game for Wii, pretty hard to find for Guilty Gear, collectible. Then they had PSP for $5 each, I think. Picked up Hammering Hero, and Legend of Heroes 2. Great RPGs for the PSP. If you have a PSP, play through these. If you only have time for one, Trails in the Sky, definitely need to play that one. One of the better RPGs of the last probably 10 years. Let's see, we also had DS games for $6 too. So we picked up Advance Wars Dual Strike Complete and Etrian Odyssey 2 right here. Game Boy Advance games were, I think, $5 a piece. Golden Sun Lost Age, Shining Soul, both great deals on those. And probably the find of this little trip so far, GameCube games were $2 along with PS2 games and Xbox. We picked up a bunch of PS2 and Xbox, but nothing really to write home about. But as you can tell from our previous experience with all these other stores, GameCube games are very hard to find, and if they still are in stock, they're not very hard to find. They sell quick, I should say. So what stores do, as soon as they get them in, they see something, a product that's selling quick, and what do? They raise the price because they think they can get a little bit more. It's just simple supply and demand. If things are selling quick, that usually means you have a good price on them. So what we did, what they do here, is just $2 for GameCube games. And I don't know if they just got these in this morning, because I don't know who in their right mind wouldn't spend $2 on them to get these. Anyway, Wario World, that's kind of a borderline one. I could see that one sticking around. But once you get Mario in the name, like Mario Party and Mario Kart Double Dash, both of those for $2, you'd be a fool to pass up on that. So that was our awesome experience at QC pawnbrokers. They also have another one on the other side of town. We're probably going to check that one out. But that can vary depending on who runs it and all that. So, anyway, this is probably the find of the trip, I would say. Overall, not really overwhelming. It's not like a $50 game for $2, but when you're talking $20, $25 games for $2, that's pretty good as well. So that's basically free. But yeah, so we're going to keep going to all these different pawn shops to see if we can beat this one. And like I promised, here is another pawn shop. And this one was also flat rate. Last gen was all $10 a piece. And the one before that, like PS2 era, were $2 a piece. So picked up complete Wild Arms 3 for $2. Not a great deal, but it's complete, and I don't think we have it. So that's kind of nice. And PS3 Sonic All-Stars Racing Transformed, which this is the best kart racer in my opinion, even better than any other Mario Kart game. I will admit that this game would have never been made if it wasn't for Mario Kart, but this one has perfected it, I think. Plus, I like my Sega franchises quite a bit, and they dig really deep into some Sega franchises that Mario Kart doesn't at all. Like, they do some with their characters, but you can only go so far in the Mario world. This goes to every Sega franchise that I can think of. I mean, there's a Burning Rangers level. Like, how could that not be the biggest fan service to any Sega fan out there? So yeah, this if you like kart racing and you don't like unfair blue shell stuff like Mario Kart, this is the game for you to pick this one up, because it is the best kart racing game, and it's also the best Sonic game in quite a while. So yeah, that was not too bad in there. We're gonna go to some more pawn shops. And another pawn shop, and this one is called Tony's Pawn Shop, and I had the pleasure of meeting Tony even. Anyway, yeah, flat rate mostly. Some of the maybe newer stuff was individually marked. That's okay. DS games, $10. I got Electroplankton Complete. This game is hard to find as a cart, and complete almost impossible. So it's kind of not the greatest shape, but I'll take it for $10. They had a big binder for $1 games. Got Spyro the Dragon. Can never have too many of those. And for $5, Metroid Fusion, which is not that great of condition, but not too bad of a price. So we ended up taking it. That's all we got at Tony's Pawn Shop. Pretty good pawn shop in there. If you're in the area, I would check it out. But you have plenty of other pawn shops to go to too. So you guys who live in the Davenport Quad City area are very lucky with all your pawn shops. I don't know if it was like a city initiative or the ordinances are really lax or something, but there are a ton here, and we are going to try and get to all of them. Okay, we stopped at a pawn shop and didn't get anything other than this nice vintage Braves jersey. So we went on to the next place, which was a disc replay, which I didn't know they had them here. There must be a newer thing here. Stopped there. We had great success yesterday in part 2 there. And it was no different at this one, where we found both of the Zelda GameCube games for $25 a piece. For the DS, Princess Debut, which you probably wouldn't think it's that collectible, but look it up, it is. And finally, for PS2, Blood Will Tell. Now that one used to be pretty not common, but you'd see it once in a while. But now it's kind of got hip and people have kind of figured out what that game was all about, and now the price went way up, and it's really hard to find now, and I'm happy that we finally found one. It's been quite a while since we had a copy in, so, and for $4 you really can't complain about that. So yeah, disc replay again. Hopefully, I think there's another one in town here we'll stop at and see what we do there. Okay, just got out of a game store called VideoGameExperiment. It's a chain here in Iowa, and the prices are okay. They're good for if you're going in and not wanting to buy it on eBay. Just go in there, pick it up for the same price, and you have that game today instead. So yeah, if you're in the area, check those out. We got Arcus Odyssey for the Sega Genesis, which is a rare game nowadays for the Sega. Those renovation games were not produced in high numbers, obviously, because they were kind of, I don't know, second quality maybe. There are a few good ones like Valis and stuff that were very good, but I'm not sure too much on that one actually. And another game we got was Test Drive Eve of Destruction for PlayStation 2. Now this game I loved when it first came out, only because most driving games at the time you went in and you put neon on your car to upgrade it, or bigger engines or whatever, you just kind of drove around, and or like Gran Turismo, just turbos and stuff like this. This one, you went to the junkyard and got a different car, or you got different parts for it, and it was kind of a free world out in the country, kind of a rural area to do all this, which you don't see in this game. I can't think of another racing game that quite was like this. There were other demolition derby games, stuff like that, but this one definitely was one of a kind when it came to some of that stuff. But yeah, and it's also very collectible because people realized how great a game that this one was. So yeah, if you can get that one at a good price, keep your eye out on it, because most people will see Test Drive and they just skip over it. But this one is one of the good ones. So yeah, we're going to keep on going. Okay, earlier today we were at a pawn shop called QC Pawn and had some awesome GameCube deals, and we wanted to see if we could beat it. This might be close, not quite as good as that one, but we went to the other location here in Quad Cities and picked up a bunch of RPGs really cheap. So got Dragon Quest VI, Breath of Fire 2, Star Ocean First Departure, Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, Divinity 2 for Xbox, and a bunch of PS2 games, all for $28. How could you go wrong with that? This might be some of my favorite pawn shops I've ever been to, because they have cheap prices and good selection, which usually do not go hand in hand. So it's only a matter of time before people realize what this place is and what they got and what prices they have them for. So I imagine it's not going to last too long here. But either way, I scored big on both of those here in town. So let's keep on going. Okay, we just got out of the last disc replay in this town, and it's inside of a mall, which it kind of goes against my rule. I usually don't go into malls because they're pretty heavy traffic areas, and most of the time it's just a GameStop anyway, which this whole trip we haven't even gone to one GameStop, which is great. I don't like giving them money, the way they treat their employees, and the bad trade-in that you get for your games. I don't like supporting them, but they do have games at good prices sometimes. So usually, a lot of times we do go in there, but I don't like to. And this trip we were able to avoid them all, so that worked out great. Anyway, disc replay has been good to us this whole trip, and what we're going to look at here is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone for GameCube, which I don't know why, but this is one of the few Harry Potter games that was collectible and still kind of sought after. I think it's because most of the people, this was kind of a new generation when this came out. The Xbox, PS2, and GameCube, I believe, was somewhat rather new. At least the Xbox and GameCube kind of, when this game came out, because most of the people, I believe, bought it on the PlayStation 1 almost. And then the rest, you know, all the other Harry Potter games that came after that were pretty much just on that console generation, so it was pretty easy to pick up those, and they're not that collectible. This one's not very hard to find. It is pretty common, I see it quite a bit, but for whatever reason, I don't know if it's just because of that split generation where maybe the print run was half of the other ones. I don't know. And then the other one, Ape Escape 3, which I've not played this one. I played the first one and the second one on the PS2. But the third one looks like it has something to do with movie studio or something like that. Ape Escape continues to be collectible, and I wish they would do a full PS4 version. That would be great, but I think we're done with that one.